Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hodgson, BNEWS reporter Robert Paris, Peter Brown with the weather, and Jolie Atwood with the community calendar. Thank you for joining us. Additional cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Burlington Public Schools. Last Friday, Burlington Schools announced that one positive case had been identified in a student or faculty member at Burlington High School, and a probable case was identified at Memorial Elementary School. Then on Thursday, October 1st, the department said there was a different positive case identified at Memorial. These cases are in addition to the 3 in the district we reported last week. Those cases were found at Francis Wyman, Pine Glen, and Marshall Simons. Though it was determined the case at Francis Wyman had not been in the building during the infectious period. According to a letter from Superintendent Eric Conti and Health Director Susan Luminello, the Burlington Board of Health immediately began a case investigation to determine close contacts of each case. A close contact is defined as anyone within 6 feet of the affected individual for greater than 10 minutes. Any student or staff member determined to be a close contact, both through activities inside or outside of school, were immediately contacted by the Board of Health and will be required to quarantine. Testing will be recommended for all close contacts. However, any close contacts testing negative for COVID-19 must still complete quarantine requirements as issued by the Board of Health. It is the policy of Burlington Public Schools to close any classroom when a student or staff member with a confirmed or probable case of COVID-19 is present in the classroom during their infectious period. Burlington Town Meeting approved $2.1 million in cuts from the FY21 budget that were deemed necessary due to the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino explained the cuts were a continuation of the budget discussion started in June when the fiscal year spending was first approved. Fiscal year begins July 1st. He said at that meeting they asked for additional time to possibly adjust the budget when they had a better understanding of the town's financial situation and perhaps more insight into the future. Fortunately, he said, state aid was level funded from FY20 and not cut significantly as they had initially feared. Less fortunately, local receipts, items like the hotel motel tax, meals tax, and fees from building permits were down significantly. Here is Town Administrator Paul Sagarino explaining their approach to deciding what to cut.
These cuts and reductions are very difficult for us. I will say that our goal in looking at the reductions was to try to come up with a list of reductions that was, number 1, least harmful to the resident services, number 2, the least harmful to our employees, our employee headcount, and through the efforts of all departments working together, through very difficult discussions, we were able to come up with this listing of cuts.
Town Accountant John Denizio said in FY20 the town brought in $21.2 million from local receipts, and this year that number was down to $14.6 million. The majority of the deficit was made up from accommodated accounts, mostly by holding off on OPEB payments, which is another pension benefit. In total, $1.4 million were taken from this source. The rest, $700,000, will be made up from additional cuts, half on the town side and half from the school department. The biggest cuts on the town side are $55,000 from the police, $50,000 from the DPW, and $45,000 from accounting. Most departments will see cuts between $15,000 and $27,000. A few departments, including the town clerk, conservation, human resources, planning, and veteran services, were included in that group. School Committee Chair Christine Monaco said the school department would do all it could to meet its share of the cuts, but said this is a difficult year for them. She said that as of this time, there are no projections on where the department finances will be due to the complexity of the pandemic. However, she added that as of Wednesday night, they have projected a surplus at the end of the fiscal year of $133,000 before the cuts. After the cuts, they project a $217,000 deficit. Part of that is because due to the pandemic, they had to hire 17 new employees to date this school year and may need more. These positions include instructional assistants, permanent substitutes, custodians to keep up with the extra cleaning, and more cafeteria staff to deliver meals to classrooms. In the end, Monaco said they will strive to make the cuts but may need assistance further down the road. Burlington Town Meeting approved a warrant article to spend $81,000 to fund a Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for the town school department for the remainder of the year. BNEWS Director Rich Hosford spoke to some of the people behind the push for this new position and has this report.
On Wednesday night, after a long debate, numerous amendments, and much discussion, town meeting voted to approve $81,000 to fund a proposed Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for Burlington Public Schools by a vote of 77 to 33. Most people, even those who voted against the article, said they agreed with the idea of the position, but argued that because an earlier vote was to cut $2.1 million from the FY21 budget due to losses associated with the pandemic, that this was not the time. Still, in the end, the measure, which had garnered a lot of support from various organizations, teachers, parents, and students, passed to the approval of the proponents.
I'm really pleased that it passed. I was really debating that the town meeting members would not pass this. That's why I was like, I have to speak up. This is the only chance I have to represent all students. So I did it, and I'm really glad that the vote turned out to be a yes.
Well, I'm very pleased that town meeting voted in favor of the article, and what it means going forward is that the work continues, and I'm looking forward to the discussion at the next school committee meeting as to what the next steps are, and discussing with the administration how we want to proceed in fulfilling the vision that the town meeting filled for us tonight.
I'm very pleased. I'm glad that there was a resounding message that the community cares about our students and our teachers and wants to provide them the support that they're requesting.
According to the BHS Equity Committee, the director will perform a number of functions, including training, responding to incidents, updating the curriculum to include more diversity, and helping the administration hire a more diverse faculty, among other responsibilities. Those pushing for the position said these are needed in Burlington schools. To make that point, Sarah listed a number of incidents reported by fellow students and alumni and said they demonstrate the need for deep change in this culture of the school system.
It's not just about like racist incidents that have been happening in our schools. It's about the overall system that's in our town, that's also in our schools, and that's also in our homes. It is really important that we have a person like this who can lead us onto this journey of anti-racism.
First, I'd really like to, provide some relief to the students and making sure that they feel that they have someone they can go to, someone who will hold the administration accountable to make sure that these things are implemented. Obviously, with the pandemic, there's a lot of competing interests, and I think by having this position, we're saying that this is important and we're going to focus on it. I also think looking at some of the bigger picture responses to national incidents, that will be great to have a unified voice from our schools to the community.
Finally, Mr. Foss said the vote reflects the town as a whole.
It was clear that the town holds certain values, and town meeting voted tonight to uphold those values and continue to try to protect students as best we can.
From the Burlington High School Auditorium, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
The Board of Selectmen approved an extension for outdoor dining to help business stay open as long as the weather will allow to make up for income lost by the shutdown. Typically, outdoor dining ends on November 1st, and who would want to dine outdoor after that? Economic Development Director Melissa Tintakalis said that the new guidelines from Governor Charlie Baker, restaurants can maintain outdoor seating until 60 days after the end of the state of emergency. She said no date for the end of the emergency has been set, so this would likely mean restaurants could continue outdoor seating into next year. Tintakalis said the town's reopening task force, made up of representatives of multiple town departments, including the Board of Health, is in favor of extending the outdoor dining. The obvious question is, how long will people be able to comfortably dine outside? Much of this, of course, depends on the weather, but there are some measures restaurants can take to extend the al fresco season and experience. Tintakalis said that while the town has received any specific requests, there are examples of restaurants in other places having large outdoor heaters and four-sided tents. There is also a concept of clear igloo-like structures people can dine in. Members of the board said they were in favor of the town doing what it could to support businesses in these difficult times. There was a question, however, of whether four-sided tents were a safe option, but that was resolved by Selectman Jim Tigas. Here's what he had to say.
Whatever we can do as a town to help our businesses benefit is something I'm always in favor of, and I know other board members are as well. The way I see this is the four-sided tents. Yeah, granted, it's enclosed, but the restaurant is enclosed as well. So it's with the concept, at least the way I look at it, of an enclosed tent area or gazebo area, whatever you want to call it, canopy area. It's just adding more floor space, for lack of better terms, to the dining area. So it's not. Granted, I think an open area is better, but if if they're allowed to seat inside of a restaurant, then I don't see that it's any different by allowing seating in an enclosed canopy. You're just allowing the restaurant to have more tables and more floor space to space them out further. So I'm not against. I like that idea. It's whatever we can do for the businesses to keep them going as long as they can. I'm definitely in favor of it.
There was one provision of Governor Baker's new order that raised some concern. Selectman Mike Runyon said that under the new rules, restaurants could seat up to 10 people at each table rather than 6. He said it was not necessarily comfortable with that and wanted to ensure a vote to extend outdoor dining did not automatically mean they were voting to ensure all of the new regulations. Tintakala said they could just vote on the indoor and outdoor dining, and she would look into the 10 people per seat regulation. Town Administrator Paul Sagarino said Burlington had been following the governor's guidance since the beginning of the pandemic, but some communities have created their own regulations. He also said he would get more information for a future meeting. Children's Theater Workshop at the Park Playhouse is going virtual with its classes and productions. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris spoke to one of the organizers to find out how this will work and what it will look like, and he has this report.
In times like these, many establishments are finding new ways to bring the community together. This week, I spoke with Kate Gluck, who is part of the Children's Theater Workshop at the Park Playhouse.
If you're not familiar with it, the Burlington Players up at the Park Playhouse runs a education program for kids. So we have the Children's Theater Workshop for grades 1 through 7, and we have the Winmere Family Theater for teenagers, but then we also involve some adults too, depending on the show.
Although the workshop is having no in-person sessions, they are doing virtual classes and an upcoming new production.
We've been making plans for how we can all get involved again in the fall. Normally we'd be starting our classes. We run classes every fall for the kids in grades 1 through 7. And we'd have registration and we'd be meeting every week. And we can't really do that yet. It's not safe quite yet. So instead, we're going to be running a virtual program. And we'll be doing that for the little kids, for 1st through 4th graders. And then for the 5th through 7th graders, we're preparing to do a virtual show.
Everyone at this point is trying to cope with the new normal, but is awaiting the return of the old lifestyle.
Personally, I'm just looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. I'm looking forward to seeing my friends and family like everybody else. For the kids, I'm really looking forward to being back at the Playhouse, to rebuilding our community and taking all that we've learned, the new appreciation that we have for the simple things of being together and going places easily. I'm looking forward to that all getting back. But most importantly for theater, I'm looking forward to having an audience again and being an audience, being able to go to a show or a concert or a dance performance or all those things that make the arts so special.
Over a Zoom call, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Burlington's Mary Cummings Park now has more parking, a science nature trail with a boardwalk, a bike rack, and more thanks to a recent project updating the park. The trustees of the reservation announced on Monday that the property improvements at Mary Cummings Park in Burlington have been completed and includes trail improvements, a new parking lot, and a boardwalk through the marsh. The park is held in trust by the City of Boston, and the trustees serve as a management partner. Excuse me. The park consists of 209 acres of land in Burlington and Woburn and includes a variety of natural habitats such as wetlands, fields, forests, and thickets. Following weeks of construction, the work is now finished and includes a new parking lot at 25 Blanchard Road, offering 20 parking spaces, and a bike rag. Also, a science and nature trail terminates in a boardwalk to the marsh, courtesy of a generous donation from Millipore Sigma. In the pre-construction phase, arborists cleared a mix of invasive species to open views of new landscapes and make space for new areas including parking, a new park entrance, a pollinator meadow, restored and newly created trails, and a picnic lawn. This work aligns with the vision of the park's benefactor, Mary Cummings, who wanted to ensure the park remain forever open as a public pleasure ground. The ceremony previewing the property will take place at Mary Cummings Park later this fall, with an official celebration in the spring of 2021. The Burlington Sculpture Park is pleased to announce that its contest to name the Big American Dog sculpture received over 200 entries. The committee, encouraged by the community's embrace of the sculpture park and of the Big Dog naming contest. Now you can weigh in on the final decision. The committee has narrowed the choices down to 10 and is asking the community to vote for the final name. You can find a link to the poll at our website at bcattv.org/bnews. The dog sculpture is located on the corner of Burlington Common, directly across from the sculpture park entrance. The sculpture is by local artist Dale Rogers, whose sculptures are favorites throughout the New England region. The artist lent his support for the naming contest and offered a miniature 12-inch version of the big dog, known as the Puppy, as the prize for the contest winner. The winner will also receive a photo session at the sculpture park and up to 5 Burlington Sculpture Park t-shirts for the whole family. Recently, someone with a sense of humor has put a little bandana on the dog. Looks pretty good, actually. In the latest of our series, Burlington History Uncovered, where we examine historic points of interest in town, we go back to the History Museum to take a look at a replica of an antique that is itself an antique. Let's take a look.
This table is 28 inches tall, 27 inches wide, and it looks like something you would see at a pie shop. It's actually called a cloverleaf table, and it's made in the Chippendale style. It's a reproduction of a table manufactured by Chippendale in the early 1800s. The significant thing about this particular table is that it was made by a company called E. Levasseur of London, and they were listed in the 1914 directory as a fine manufacturer of antique reproductions. So what you're actually looking at here is an antique reproduction of an antique.
Scammers are using the uptick in people purchasing items online to steal people's personal information. According to the Federal Trade Commission, people have reported receiving text messages alerting them that they have a package waiting for them with a link to learn more about it. The messages are coming from scammers, the FTC said in a warning. In some cases, they're targeted at college students. In that version, scammers text returning students say there's a package waiting for them, sometimes claiming it's been waiting since last spring when many students had to go home from campus quickly. Whatever the message is, this rule stays the same. If you get an unexpected text message about a package, don't click on any links. If you think the message could be legit, contact the company using a website or phone number you know is real, but don't use the information in the text message. Once you click, they can trick you into giving personal information, letting scammers steal your passwords, account numbers, or social security numbers. Clicking those links could also let scammers download malware on your device. One other method is to try to reply to the email. Frequently and almost always, those replies are rejected. We go now to BNEWS weatherman Peter Brown for the latest forecast to see if we'll have traditional fall weather, something cooler, or a return to summer temperatures. We'll also check out the community calendar with Jolie Atwood to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. I know it's hard to believe that we're heading into the first full week of October, but we are definitely heading into autumn, and it is coming in pretty quickly for us here. Summer is definitely fading away. As we start out our period on October 2nd, on Friday, looks like we're going to see fairly average temperatures where they should be at this time of the year in the mid and upper 60s, and that's going to pretty much be par for the course as we go through the entire period into next Thursday. And again, as we round out our period, as you can see here on Thursday, October 8th, we're supposed to see temperatures that start cooling down only into the low 60s at this time of the year, and that's pretty much where we're going to be, so nothing too big in terms of surprises for us in terms of temperatures, or unfortunately, rainfall. Doesn't look like we're going to be getting too much of that. But of course, the biggest thing you keep noticing is how short the days are getting, and that is going to be happening until we get all the way until winter. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what the Climate Prediction Center is calling for us in terms of temperatures and precipitation for the next 3 months. That's right, we're not actually looking at just the next week. We want to take a little look at what they're expecting for autumn. And again, nothing really too surprising in terms of temperatures. Looks like we're expecting for here in the Burlington area, and actually all of New England and most of the United States in general, temperatures at or above average. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty mild fall out there. And as we go ahead and take a look at our precipitation chances, nothing really giving us above average precipitation anywhere here near New England. So it doesn't look like we're going to see too much in the way of tamping our drought down at all. We may have some good shots as we get into rain, especially we can hope for that into November, which is usually our wettest month. But again, we definitely need some drought relief, and we need it fairly quickly here in the Burlington area. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at what we're expecting for the next 7 days in terms of our temps and precip. Now, again, starting out on Friday and going into your weekend, looks like we're going to have fair skies, nice out there, sunny skies with some fair weather clouds. Temperatures in the 60s, so right where it should be this time of the year. And if you're going out there at night at all, going out to dinner at all, make sure you have the sweater with you and a light jacket, as it is going to be getting cool down into the mid-40s. And as we start out the work weekend, especially when we get into the Monday and Tuesday time frame, we're going to be looking for some more unsettled weather maybe in our area here in Burlington, and hopefully that brings us a chance of a little bit of beneficial rain. Again, we're not certain on that, something we're going to have to keep an eye out for, but we definitely need any rain that we can get. So everyone, get out there, have a great week, and enjoy the weather.
Jolie Atwood, and this is your community calendar. I want candy! On Friday, October 9th at 7 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having a virtual teen event called Candy Bingo. Limited to students in 6th through 12th grade, pre-registration is required. To register, go to burlington.org. It is time for the fall foliage. On Saturday, October 10th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 3rd Avenue of Burlington will be having an event called the Fall Festival. There will be live music, kids paint classes, craft vendors, and more. Everyone is welcome. For more, go to 3rdavburlington.com. Get ready to move those muscles. On Sunday, October 11th at 9:30 a.m., Extend Bar in Burlington will be having a free outdoor class. Everyone is welcome. The event is free, but pre-registration is required. For more info and to register, go to Extend Bar Burlington Facebook page. I'm Jolie Atwood, and that was your community calendar.
BHS sports, some of them anyhow, are back on with the game starting this weekend. That means our weekly sports report with Liz Gillespie will be back starting next week. However, this week we have a special sports report from the upcoming episode of BNEWS Sports Hub with Liz. Let's check out this player spotlight of girls varsity cross-country captain and BHS senior Colleen McMakin.
Player Spotlight. So this is my second year of being a captain, and I really love it because cross country is an interesting sport where it's a very individual thing where you have to be able to run by yourself in a race and self-encourage it, be able to, keep in that right mindset, but also you need to work together as a team. So as a captain, I really love being able to support every runner if she's having a good race or a bad race, and be able to help new runners especially push through the mental difficulties that comes with running. So my sophomore and junior year, I was a Middlesex League All-Star. I have set the course record, which has now been broken by Casey Collins. But this year I'm really looking forward to being able to PR and also, most importantly, running against Stoneham again and hopefully not getting lost on their course. The masks are a touch of a setback, but I know all the girls are trying their best to push through that, and we're not going to let us stop us this season, for sure.
We're going to go over goals this week. It's the first week of practice. They have individual goals, we have team goals. I just hope that they can all accomplish those every day, little things, big things, and stay injury-free.
So I'm looking forward to this season, maybe not having scrimmages and not with no invitational meets, just being able to focus on our dual meets and being able to win as many as we possibly can this season.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo shows a canine friend riding in style. It was sent in by Linda McNamee and shows a golden retriever poking his or her head through the sunroof of the car in front of her. Linda said the photo was taken in Woburn, but the driver is a Burlington resident who says her dog insists on riding like this. Must be nice to have the wind blowing through his fur, or her fur. Thanks for the photo, Linda. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your summer activities, a family trip, if you're having any, or just everyday moments, whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with Rich Hosford, Robert Paris, Peter Brown, and Jolie Atwood, and Liz Gillespie. Thank you for joining us.